Okay, well, we're having a little pre-season update with Liam and Ian this morning, just to give us a few run-throughs of where we're up to. Liam, I got accosted in the street last week about the position with some of our players, so I want you to run through them. And it's the three really that we haven't named as what's happening to them. So there's Isaac, Russ, and George. So can you just give us a little update on each of those, please?
Yeah, Isaac moved on to Warrington midway through the season. Warrington had asked whether they could keep him. Obviously, I've given permission to speak to him, so he's out of contract in the summer, so I fully expect him to be staying at Warrington. Russ, had a really poor season in the fact of injury-wise, because he broke his ankle in the second game, and then he's probably struggled to get back. So, Russ has left the club, but he's been good for us. So, I miss having him around. And George obviously had a really bad break. He struggled to get games, so really he's been invited back for pre-season to actually prove that fitness-wise he can get through it, and that's where we're up to on them three. Yeah,
good. I think people also forget that we've already got 16, possibly 17 players if you include George, on our books. We did all our business early, didn't we? And everyone said, when are we getting some signings? Is there any update on anything happening in the transfer market?
Yeah, including George, there's a couple who have committed to come to pre-season. I fully expect the remainder of the squad will already be in place by the first pre-season session, because the players we will sign will be in the core who've said they're going to come in. It'd be a nice position where it's what the fans have been asking for, a group that they recognise, consistency in terms of. We've secured our assets. We did that early. We did that obviously when around the period when Marcus left. We made a real proper effort to make sure we'll get everyone tied down for going forward. It's still only a young squad. There's a lot more to come from it. So we're in a healthy place.
Yeah. Do you think your squad this season? There's quite a lot of flexibility within the squad as well, isn't there, this season? I think different players can play in different positions.
Yeah, well, that way makes it a lot easier. So a lot more are always involved on match day. Not many people on the sideline not being involved, which obviously keeps the spirit better, keeps the way of that horrible little phrase called clicks ever coming in, which we never want. So it makes it a lot easier to manage the dressing room that way.
Yeah, we did have a small squad last season. Are you looking to increase the size of it at all?
Yeah, me and Ian spoke. There is a little bit more scope to carry an extra player, so it's always nice to have. It doesn't mean to say we have to sign him straight away. I'm lucky in the fact that I've got an awful lot of contacts higher up in the football world who do tend to do me a favour or will lend us a player in, as and when we want. But that doesn't stop us if something is right, that we'd sign him anyway, wouldn't we? So, in terms of, as I said, recruitment, all that, we were well done, so it gives us a summer of actually not stressed.
You can relax for once instead of having, what was it once, we had about, I don't think it was under you, was it, but we once had about 50 players turn up on day one looking for a game.
Yeah, but it just becomes a lottery. I said that you do need a couple of extra floating around, because the first couple of games of pre-season you'd look to only play them 45 minutes. Yeah. So obviously that dictates that you need 22 players. So, but we'll be there or thereabouts. So yeah, happy what we've got, happy what we've done, and happy potentially what we might do.
Extra games next season as well, with extra travel as well, because we've got Peterborough, Banbury, real northern outposts of football coming into our league.
Yeah, as you said, you've lost a few, haven't you? You've lost Gateshead, which is a trek, isn't it? Yeah. That they've gone, and York have gone up, and so all in all, who went down?
Guiseley.
The guys not too far.
Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But it's always nice to go to new places anyway. Never been to Banbury, never played there, never played the Peterborough Sports ever, so you'll like it, Rob, won't you?
New grounds and new teams to get some teeth into, yeah, it'd be good stuff. Okay. I think, as I say, people forget we've had Declan come in, we've had Michael come in, so that puts us on 17 players, doesn't it? So I don't think we can be doing any more at this stage myself.
Liam always says as well, there's always someone unexpected turns up during pre-season training, so
I think
open mind.
Yeah, I think people forgot actually about Declan. Now we actually signed Declan, and we signed him and then loaned him back, as I said. So, and it was nice that Michael finished the season with us as well. Yeah. So that becomes a.
He looks a good lad, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not one that he's a stranger coming in. So all the lads, they all know one another, and as you said, some of them you will always get more out of them year by year. They're all still hungry, committed. A lot of them still believe they can play higher, which is good.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, Ian, moving on to you. There's not a lot really. You'll be pleased to know for the first time in our history we're not talking about catering or toilets, so I'm sure you'll be delighted on that. But just a couple of things. I know a statement's gone out from the club about the season tickets and the prices. Would you just like to give a little bit more background to that situation?
No, to show you, the aim was always to try and make it fair across the board. We'd artificially kept season tickets low for the last couple of years in light of everything that's gone on. But when we sat down and looked at it this year, we wanted to have a fair approach to everyone. So we looked at the figures for price per game last season and just applied a kind of free 5 games to everybody across the board, because we appreciate that obviously kind of the more junior fans may find it more difficult to buy the season tickets. But that doesn't mean to say that the adults who are bringing children along and paying mortgages and bills and everything else don't have the same concerns. So we thought it fair that if we include the pre-season friendlies plus 5 free games across the board for everybody, that was the fairest approach. And to be fair, there hasn't been too much kind of dispute against that. We appreciate that the junior season tickets went up perhaps proportionally more than most. But again, we only sold, I think, 20 odd of those season tickets last season. The voices that I've seen kind of disputing that fact across social media didn't necessarily buy season tickets at the artificially low price anyway last season. So I think it's it's fair across the board, and that's what we're trying to do and trying to be moving forward.
Yeah, I was having a look before it came out that we've sold quite a few season tickets and to some new names as well, which is nice to see, new people coming on board.
Yeah, I think we're up to about 135 in total season tickets and members, which is a good start. Yeah. And yeah, it's always good to see new names on the board and new people coming along. And again, it is testament to the fact that last season, I think the relationship between players, club and fans improved massively last season. And as Liam alluded to at the beginning, you're getting a better relationship in that the fans are recognising the players, they are buying into what we're trying to do in building this squad. And that always helps. It helps when particularly the kids are turning up at the game at Hague Avenue and they can recognise the players and interact with the players. And to have the same squad going into next season is going to help that even more. Yeah,
well, it's extra matches and extra travel, isn't it, next season? Although we just talked earlier about the new teams coming in, that extra finance needed as well, isn't there? For I think I calculated 1,000 extra miles that we're doing next season compared to previous.
Yeah, and it's difficult because we kind of we know where we're at and what we're trying to do, and there's no point kind of comparing that against what other teams are at this stage, because you've got to concentrate on our own job. We do obviously look at what other teams are doing, and we did look at what other teams were pricing their season tickets at, but that's always a bit of a false undertaking to do, because you look at the likes of, I know a lot of people were looking at Chester. Now, obviously at Chester, I think they were up to 600 season tickets sold within the first week or so, and they do their booster budget of another £100,000 or so. Darlington the same. So it's difficult to kind of look across the league and compare yourself. So as I say, we just concentrate on what we're doing and how we proceed further.
Yeah. Well, it was great to get the fans back in last season. Do you think this season we're going into the season on an even keel? You've been, I think it's 4 years ago in a month's time that you stepped into a director. Do you think this is the first season where you feel, listen, we're there now to what we want to be?
When I think I've said before, when I stepped in 4 years ago, there was 2 managers and 1 player. Yeah. And we really struggled to get a team together for a pre-season friendly at Bootle. I think it was made up of 11 or 12 trialists. And I've said before as well, it was difficult because that first season, nobody recognised the players. The players weren't particularly buying into Southport as a club. They were just there for their pay at the end of the week. So it's really good that, you know, this is the first season where we feel that we are building the squad that we want and the way we want to build it. And as I say, you know, we know that the way that the fans have bought into that last season is an added bonus to that. And you know, it's not kind of accidental. You know, we've sat down over the last couple of years and looked at what teams have gone up, how they've done it, how they've built their squads, and there's an element of realism in there as well. You know, there are teams in our league, there are the Files, you know, there are the Kidderminsters who've got 3 or 4 times the budget that we've got, so there's no point trying to compete budget-wise.
Yeah.
So if we can build the team in other ways to the point where we think that team can be as successful, then that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Any word on a stadium sponsor?
We have a meeting with Mr. Juicnip later today.
All right. Yeah.
So we'll see exactly where we're at with regards sponsors and who's took what. But I mean, again, it's a rallying call to kind of anyone who wants to get involved and who wants to come in and sponsor the club. There are obviously the bigger sponsorship packages still available because we're just really getting started on that now.
Yeah.
Right down to kind of the sponsorship board. They all count, they all help. And as I say, particularly for a club like ours in the position we're in, we are not going out with a boost the budget type plea to fans to, you know, put their hands in their pockets after buying season tickets. We rely heavily on local businesses. And again, it's one of the kind of other success stories of the last couple of years. You know, local businesses are getting back involved with the club. You know, we owe a great debt to that. And, you know, we're working hand in hand with them. You know, looking at hospitality on a match day. You know, the beginning of last season, we'd have 2 or 3 tables in hospitality, whereas towards the end of the season, you know, Steve and the team had done great. We were sold out every home game.
It's been a massive success, that, hasn't it?
Yeah, and you know, again, it kind of, we would like to think it's an indicator that everyone is starting to buy in. You know, I saw reports out of the weekend looking at kind of what percentage of the population of each town is actually going along to their non-league club.
I've just seen that today.
Yeah, and I think Southport were at 1% of the population.
19th place, which is it's totally false figures.
Yeah, it is, but it kind of, you know, if we look at that as a positive, it means that there's a lot of people out there who we can kind of go out and try and get involved and try and get to buy into what we're doing. Yeah. And if we can do that, then we can go from kind of success to success, really. Yeah. And the same applies to the sponsorship. You know, if we can get everyone on board who has been over the last couple of years helping us out, and new ones as well, then, you know, it's a job done.
Yeah. You're always on the lookout for new investments, aren't we, or new contributions, I think is the phrase, rather than investment.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult kind of to sit down with a, you know, old style yellow pages almost and work through it and kind of ring every business on there. You know, and there's only so much of us. You know, so anyone who does kind of want to get involved and help, you know, there's always someone at the end of the phone.
Yeah. Got pre-season coming up, a very attractive set of games coming up. Are you pleased with that?
Yeah, I don't think it could have gone any better as regards the teams coming to Hague Avenue.
Is that all Liam's doing, pulling in his mates?
Liam hasn't done anything, have you?
I think it's good that the clubs who are coming. Obviously Blackpool, it's their first game back, so that's why we're back in early for that game.
Yeah.
So that's good. Everton, obviously, because of the relationship with the club, and it was a really good game, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah.
The game. Tranmere are coming, so it's you know, it's a bit of a derby, which is nice, and you'll get the full first team. And then Chris Markham's agreed to bring Bolton as well, which is positive. And on the flip side, you know, Marine, we're playing Marine at home on a Tuesday night. Marine are getting the pitch done.
Yeah.
So they haven't really got the benefit of using their own ground. And you know, Marine's fan base has grown ridiculously in the last couple of years, probably since the Tottenham game. So it'll be good for them. Hopefully they bring a decent crowd, and it's a good realistic game. They're only a league below us now, so it'll be we know it'll be a good test. And then we've got Bootle away, which Brian allowed us to dual register a couple of their players, and we took Michael Carvey. So that's like a show of appreciation back. And also Mark fella Lancaster, we signed Sam Bailey on a dual reg. We never used him, but they allowed it to happen, which was good. And to be honest, we played a really good semi-final against them, and they were very unlucky on the night not to have actually come through it. But so that's our pre-season campaign.
Yeah. So when are the lads back into training?
Saturday, 25th, 26th of June.
It's not long off, is it? It seems a very quick turnaround.
Yeah, well, as I said, the season starts earlier this time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is because of the World Cup in Qatar.
Well, those games would be a good test, pre-season as to where we're at. But I mean, also, we've sat down early doors and we wanted to put on good games as well, because again, going back to the season tickets, if they're including free entrance to the pre-season games, we wanted them to be good pre-season games. So that again, when we're looking at the value for the season tickets, no disrespect to anyone we might have played in the past, but we didn't want to be saying, right, well, you can come along to all the pre-season games for free and then put on games against Step 7 or Step 8 clubs.
Yeah.
This again was a as much a thank you to everyone buying the season tickets and sticking with us over the last couple of years as anything else.
I think the other thing as well, which last season was probably unkind for orders, because the squad was really young, and we could have done with playing Saturday, Tuesday right from the start. So the more experienced players, at other clubs where we haven't played, obviously COVID affected the league campaigns, so they hadn't played for a long time. So for them to come back in Saturday, they were having a really good week in between, and obviously we didn't get off in theory to a good start in terms of points, but actually in the first 8 games I thought we were playing really well. Just by getting probably some of the best football we played was in the first 8 games, and obviously then we did get a win and went on a run. But I think the fact of starting the season Saturday, Tuesday, I think it'll benefit us.
Yeah. It's unusual though, isn't it? Because it's quite a hectic start, but I think you look at the way the National League fixtures went when there were 46 games, you are playing Saturday, Tuesday, right the way through till middle of October in some cases.
Yeah, and as you said, the older your squad is, the more affected it's going to have. But obviously we are young, got legs, so from that point of view, Saturday, Tuesday will probably more beneficial in the fact that really we haven't really got a starting 11. I think all 18, 19, whatever the amount we'll have are all capable of starting, so it helps us get them all game time and minutes into them.
Well, we had some gems last season, didn't we? Because we obviously saw Marcus on and Doug on. You must have been pleased with the fact that they have sold on and gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, obviously, listen, Marcus was a bit of a talisman for us. I think we got him in a place where he was enjoying his football. I think he liked the idea that he was a senior player, and relished it. He relished to be that leader, sort of like in the dressing room, and early doors, score on the first game of the season, and then he was up and running, and then once he was up and running, he just couldn't stop scoring. We probably underestimated how much we'd miss him, but that probably coincided when we were relying on Marcus going. I had every confidence that George and Connor would actually be able to step in. Unfortunately, they ended up, both of them, injuries throughout the period of time when they should have been settling in and getting a run of games. So that's just football, it's just the way it works. So you don't then replace a Marcus Carver during the period of the season. Doug, you've got to turn around and say, well, Doug come in from day one. I think when we went to sign him, Ian and I went and met Doug over the water on the Wirral, and everything we said to him on the day was, listen, come here, it's a great club, perfect club to enhance your career. You only have to look at our track records of how many players leave the club. If you're going to buy in, you've got to meet us halfway, do the things we ask you to do them right. And then he's ended up probably, for the fans, one of the all-time favourites, isn't he? Lovely lad, nice family, took really big interest in the club, and it's nice to see him, and I've got no doubt he'll go on and progress and, you know, become a proven Football League player.
Like you say, that was important, wasn't it, with the interaction with the fans with Doug, and the family bought into it. It was brilliant to see, wasn't it? It was. I think everybody wishes him well, because we all want him to do well.
Absolutely, and even though, like people say, you know, the fall, he got sold to Blackpool, and Blackpool were very, very good to loan him back straight away. Unfortunately, he got injured at Boston and then was out for 2 months. So it was just the way it went, and you know, the flip side is central defenders with him. You know, Adam Hanson's played every single game bar one in every competition, and Chris Doyle had been out for 13-14 weeks, had one training session and just come back in and played. Which, how he did it, I know he did it within like the help of an injection and that, but that says, it tells you an awful lot about what them two are about.
Do want to play for the club, don't they? Yeah.
I think there was also a bit of a misconception at the time as well in relation to the selling of Marcus, in the sense that we were kind of cashing in at the expense of where we were at as a club, because that January, the amount of interest that we had in, you know, a number of players at the club, and you know, we fought off a lot of that because we're trying to make sure that if there are any moves, it's for the player and for the club. And I think it is testament to kind of Tommy and the scouting that we have, that the likes of the Dougs are coming through and coming to our attention, so that we can keep that going now.
I think the other thing which Ian's just realised, we had another two of the players who had really, really strong interest from league clubs, and for one reason or another it never happened. A little bit, you know, we couldn't really afford to lose another one. We didn't want to lose another one. However, you've got to tally it up. You know, one got injured, that actually took that one out of the equation, and the other one, the interest, I think he was probably second choice of the club, who but then the first choice got over the line, so that didn't happen. But it was nice, the fact that the two of them were very much in people's thoughts, and I don't doubt they both start the season really well next year. I think, you know, you never know where they could go.
I know you just have to see the number of scouts that were sat around me in the press area that were coming out. It was incredible. At one game it was 5 or 6 scouts looking at different players, which it's good. It shows the recruitment we're getting right, doesn't it?
Well, it said the other thing on the Doug one. You go into the last week of the window, and then there's 7 clubs still involved in him. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, as you said, it's just one of them days. We were lucky that, you know, we managed to be able to pick him up on free transfer, and you know, as you said, he met us halfway, put the work in, put the performances in, and then, you know, we got a platform to actually, you know, show that he could play. Yeah.
Ian, final word from you. Rallying call to the supporters for 22-23.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, the way that the responses that we've had since the end of the season, fans are already looking forward to next season. You know, I'm seeing nothing but positive kind of across, you know, 98% of the fan base, you know, looking forward to next season, because they can see what we're trying to do. And as I said earlier, it's brilliant that everyone's buying into that, and the atmospheres that we saw home and away last season, is, you know, I've not seen anything like that in the 3 years or so previous to last season. You know, that's a testament to the fans and the support they gave us, and if we can kind of carry that on to next season, it should be good all round.
Yeah, good. It's good to see the pitches coming on, isn't it?
We've said this before.
I always panic when they do it. I always think it's never long enough to complete it.
It started off fantastic the last couple of seasons, and we're doing absolutely everything we can to kind of get it to the level that we want it to be at, and to stay at that level. Obviously, you never know whether it's worked and how good it will be or not until we get to kind of November, December. But fingers crossed. You know, it is looking good, and let's hope it stays like that.
The weather's been right this year. We're having rain and heat, aren't we? So that always helps. But I think Gareth's been actually saying it's draining too well at times. We need some rain to keep it going.
There's been a lot of time and a lot of investment put into it. So you would hope that kind of we're now getting there, and it becomes the asset that kind of we always intended it to be.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, both of you, and here's waiting for the 2nd of July, then the 6th of August.
So, thank
you.